Okay, this is going to be a pretty short mini lecture on another form of heat transfer called convection. And convection is the bulk movement of molecules. Okay, so the bulk movement of molecules from one area to another, transferring that heat, okay? And you probably have experience with this. This is the whole idea of hot air rising, okay? So the higher floors in an apartment complex are warmer because that hot air rises. And so that's really what convection is. It's the flow of heat because of the bulk movement of those molecules. So let's just look at an example. So you might have like a radiator. You've heard of homes being heated by a radiator. So water flows through the radiator, hot water. It warms through conduction, so check that lecture out. Warms through conduction, and the air molecules that are next to it start to get heated up. Now that's through radiation, and we will talk about that in just a moment, or in the radiation lecture. But what does that result in? Well, now I have this collection of air that's near the radiator that's warm. And when air is warmed up, it starts to get excited, right? So temperature increases the energy and those molecules spread out. And when those molecules start to spread out, they decrease the density of that air. And it starts to rise. Much like if you decrease the density of something in the water, it begins to rise. So that buoyant force causes the warm air to rise. Okay. Now, if we are looking at something like a pot, this is another thing to kind of just think about. You might have heard of what's called convection currents. You can get those in a house too. But it's easier described in a pot because it's sort of a small structure. And I'm heating up the water in the bottom of the pot. Those molecules spread out, they get a little less dense, they rise to the top, they cool down, they get more dense, they fall back to the bottom, rise, and this is what we call a convection current. And that's based on this idea of bulk flow of molecules. All right, pretty straightforward. Just want to give you an example of a second way that heat transfers. There's three, so we've talked about conduction, and this mini lecture is on convection, and check out the mini lecture on radiation. Good job.